Very good morning to both of you. We have audience here on campus. We're also broadcasting this live on Facebook. Don't worry, the audience here. We unless you turn around, I don't know. But a very good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon to you all who came to campus. I feel a bit surreal today because this is after a few months. This is the first time I'm back on campus. So it's good to be back on campus to actually see our wonderful campus. So I want to welcome those people online as well as the people here on campus to our talk, to my talk here. And what I want to talk about today is how do you do, how can you use your business degree to actually change the world? So what I want to really say for the next maybe 30 minutes is to really talk about what is business, right? So some of you may be interested to actually take up a business degree. So what is a business degree and what can I do with a business degree? My personal opinion is that you can do a lot. You can really change the world. I'll give you some examples of how business is already changing the world, whether for good or for not so good. So I'll give you some examples. And then I will, hello, please come in. Yeah. Good afternoon. Okay, please do join us. We've just started, don't worry. And just to let you know, we are also broadcasting this on social media. But don't worry, we will not be able to see you. They're actually focusing on all my creases on my face right now. So welcome to all of you to the campus here. This is one of our lecture theaters. So this is a good experience for you, how we do our classes as well. But what I was actually basically introducing to everyone is the purpose of my talk today. And what I want to talk about is how can you use business to actually change the world and hopefully change the world for the better. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Then I will talk a little bit about some of the programs that we offer. And then tell you a little bit about why I think Heriot-Watt is a unique place to actually do a business degree if you intend to change the world. Yeah, and there are certain things that we're doing here which is quite special. But before I do that, maybe let me spend a couple of minutes maybe just introducing myself to you, because some of you will say, why do you want to listen to you? Yeah, who are you and all that. So my name is Foo, and I'm a trained accountant. So I train as an accountant for a few years. So I've got about 10 years of industry experience. Before I realized that it's quite stressful and I was losing a lot of hair. And then I decided to change and came and actually started teaching about 25 years ago. Right? I enjoyed it, but I realized that I keep losing hair because it's now very challenging to actually deal with young people today, right? So they're really a challenging group, but I do enjoy it. Yeah. So I've been in accounting for a few years, in business, and then I was actually teaching accounting quite a lot. Also teaching entrepreneurship and other business subjects as well. So I've got a little bit of experience in industry, but I also have quite an extensive experience in education. Okay, so hopefully whatever I'm going to share with you will be useful for you to make a decision. So again, maybe just before I proceed, what stage are you in? I'm looking at the younger. We're all young here, right? But those that are younger today, what stage are you in? So you are currently, or you just finished? Okay, very excited, right? And then you?
I just finished foundation.
Foundation here?
No.
Okay, right. So you did so you are at a crossroads maybe. So what sort of programs do I want to take? And SBM is even more a crossroad, right? So what do I want to do? Okay, so I'm going to sort of take into account that. So hopefully, yeah. So hopefully that just give you an introduction. So let me just start by telling you a little bit about Heriot-Watt, right? Before I go into business, actually Heriot-Watt is quite a unique university. And it has had a history of actually changing the world, right? So this year is a very important year for us because we are celebrating our bicentennial. This is 200 years of history, right? So Heriot-Watt University actually started out in 1821. Okay, and if you are there, I mean, you're not that old, but if you were living in that era, those years in that century, was a very unique century because it was where we are now embarking on the first industrial revolution, right? So if you don't know what the first industrial revolution was, the first industrial revolution saw the first emergence of steam engines. And steam engines were the thing that actually changed the way we were working, the way business was conducted to a completely new way. Prior to this, the way economic was actually carried out was actually farming and villages and stuff like that. So when steam engine came about, we now were able to do a lot more things beyond even our physical capability. All right, so that was the time that Heriot-Watt started, and Heriot-Watt started to actually meet the demands of education for those times. And it's called Heriot-Watt, right? So the half of that name come from this gentleman here, James Watt, who was one of the pioneer scientists during that period, who were responsible for perfecting the steam engine during that period. So I want to share this story with you because I feel very proud that Heriot-Watt University was at the forefront of change starting in the late 19th century. And right now we are at the fourth industrial revolution where things like this are ubiquitous, right? So we are now again very excited because I'll tell you a bit later that we are now preparing people for the fourth industrial revolution as well. So that's something I wanted to share. So if you join Heriot-Watt, you realize you're part of a very, very prestigious history. Okay, so that's a little bit about Heriot-Watt. We are global university, right? So currently we have three main campuses. There are a few campuses in the UK, but our three main campuses are located in Edinburgh. Edinburgh is our mothership. All right. So we are basically, we started out as a Scottish university, but we are now becoming very much global, and we then opened up a university campus in Dubai, right? And then we came to Putrajaya, all right? So this campus has been around for a few years now, okay? And it's lovely, and you see that we're all in very, very beautiful areas as well. So we're actually quite a global university in itself. Okay, let me now quickly start into talking a little bit about business. Let me start by asking you a question, right? What is business to you? Maybe a couple of seconds to respond. What do you, those less younger ones don't respond because you may have been clouded by other things. But those young ones here, what do you think business is about? What have you heard business is about? Quick response, no right or wrong answer. Sorry, no prizes as well. I didn't have time to go and buy prizes. Quick one. Selling, making profits. I hear profits. Money, yep. So it's like people think now business is about making money, making profits and stuff like that, right? Which is not wrong, right? It is about making money. It is about making profits. But I want to really make the case for you, okay? If you do not already know, and if you know already, that's great. That is much more than that. Okay, business impacts our lives, right? And I used to tell stories to school kids that in the sense that if you stand here from your tip of your hair to the bottom of your toe and your feet, every element of you is impacted by business, right? So business impacts us quite a bit. So I want to go into the world of business, immerse yourself into the world of business, and see the changes that it has made, and tell you a little bit about the positive changes, tell you a little bit about the not so positive changes, all right? So let me give this is meant to be a participative thing, all right? So let me move to a place of business that I personally visited about 25, 30 years ago. I visited this place. So when I went there, I went there for the first time, and I saw a lot of bicycles there. I can only remember. So let me do a quick quiz again. Where do you think this place is? This was picture taken maybe 25, 30 years ago. Just gave a wild guess. Some of you will say that, oh, it's Old Klang Road or whatever. Old Klang Road, right? Okay. This actually is a place in China called Shenzhen. Okay, so it could be Old Klang Road, right? It could be that one should be federal highway, you know, and stuff like that. But this was actually Shenzhen in China, okay? And as I said, I went there 25, 30 years ago, and it was, I just vaguely remember that there was a lot of bicycles, not a lot of cars, you know, and a few buildings sparsely populated and all that stuff. But let me show you how Shenzhen looks like now. Okay, you can't see it very well, right? But this is Shenzhen today, or maybe not this year, but last year, right? So you see, wow, right? It's a metropolis. It's fantastic. There's probably very little bicycles now. There's more expensive cars going around, right? And what has transformed it? Okay, many things that would have transformed Shenzhen, but one of the key things is actually business, all right? And very specifically is technology business. Okay, Shenzhen has been argued to be the Silicon Valley of China. Okay, the equivalent of the Silicon Valley. You know, if you don't know the Silicon Valley is in America, in California, and this is where companies like Apple and Google and all that, they're there, right? So what has transformed Shenzhen is really business. Okay, it's becoming a booming area, and it's not just Shenzhen in China, but also other places in China. And you know, China is rising up at the moment. Let me give you another picture and take a guess where this is. Okay? This cannot be Kuala Lumpur, okay, because there's a river there. Someone said, oh, it's Penang. You know, maybe too high, the building. Okay? So if you can guess, this is New York. Okay, good. Okay, so you've been there? No. Right. You want to go there? Yeah, right. So you'll be there quite soon, don't worry. But that's New York. Okay, and New York's the center of business, well, for now, yeah? And you can see that there's a lot of development, very busy and all business. So there's a lot of businesses around. And you can see that when business is there, people flourish and there's a lot of people and all that. Those are all positive. You can say it's positive, depending on who you are. Some people will say that's negative. I would like to have calm and, you know, I would like to go into the jungle and all that. But some people look at this as progress, okay? And maybe one last place for you to guess where this is. It used to be a desert. It's all sand, but due to petroleum, right, and the money that petroleum comes, you find that it's now a flourishing oasis in the desert of United Arab Emirates. All right. So again, I wanted to show you this so that to bring you there. And this is the business, but this is impacting the whole physical nature of society as well. Okay. So let me move now to talk about the people in business. Okay, so I've looked at the places. Now let's have a look at business people. Let me try and ask you to guess who this one is. This is not a commercial for toothpaste, but do you know who this is? Can you give me the name of this person? Can you recognize him by the teeth? Right? So, okay, so if you recognize this person, right? Okay, so you know him, and of course he's Tony Fernandez, and he founded Air Asia and all that. But why I brought him in is because, well, Air Asia is having a challenging time right now because, as you know, airline business is, you know, having a difficult time. He's not doing very well, but he's also been trying to be innovative. He's going into different places. Now he's also becoming like a Grab person, and, you know, sending stuff. Kudos to him because he's adapting and all that. Why I brought him in as an example is because when he started Air Asia, right? So what did he want to do besides making a lot of money is that he wanted to ensure that everyone can fly. Yeah, so he opened it up. It was a significant thing, right? Before Air Asia, those budget air travel wasn't really a thing. But after that, it became almost the #1 budget airline in the world, and he made everyone was able to fly. And it was so easy to come from neighboring countries and so cheap and all that. So can you see that why I brought Tony Fernandez in was to give an example of someone who wanted to change the way we were traveling by air, and he used business to do it. All right, and he was a trained accountant. He's a chartered accountant and trained as an accountant as well. So I want to give you this example. I want to give you another example. Can you recognize this person? No prize for guessing it, right? But this person also wanted to change the way our lives were conducted, and he managed to change it. And if you travel anywhere today, you will see his brand everywhere. So who knows who is he? The challenge is who is he, not what company he's from. Right? So he's Anthony Tan, okay? And he's the founder of Grab. Okay? So yeah, so great. So he is the story is that he actually come from a privileged background. He studied in Harvard, so he also has a business background. And but challenge at one point in his career, the challenge was given to him to actually transform the transportation industry in Malaysia. All right, because at that time, many years ago, so those of you who are around, you realize that taking a taxi was a horrible experience, right? So that's why I never took the taxi. And you go in there, you don't talk about pandemic at those times. Getting into a taxi is a health risk, right? So he transformed the whole taxi industry, right? And he transformed it by introducing Grab, and you can order it from your convenience of your mobile phone and everything. Yeah. So again, I wanted to bring Anthony Tan here because he again wanted to transform the way we live, and he uses business to do it. Right? So I just give you these examples of how business have been positively transforming our world and the people behind it. And you could be one of them as well. All right. So I've given you some. Let me give you a few more examples about the good of business. Okay. Now again, let me do a little bit of quiz here, and you will see this logo. All right. Can you recognize the brand from the logo? Yeah, so if you have traveled, okay, again, Airbnb probably is not doing well now, but prior to the pandemic, you're right, Airbnb transformed the hotel travel industry. They could actually behave like a hotel without investing a single cent on properties. All right, and you can go in and you can, again, it's relatively cheap, and there are security features and all that, and you can book right through an app on your phone. I've already talked about so Airbnb. You recognize this brand? I've already talked about it. Yeah, so I've already talked about Grab. Grab has transformed the way we travel within a short distance. But Grab has also transformed now, and it has actually helped us a lot during the pandemic, right? In terms of food delivery, in terms of other delivery as well. Okay, so it has actually helped a lot during this pandemic period as well. So it's actually improving our lives as well. Okay, but I want to tell you that there are ugly sides to business, right? And I'll give you one example of that. Okay, one example is that I do shopping a lot, and I do shopping, unfortunately, in supermarkets. Okay, so it's not unlike something like this. And every weekend I go shopping in the supermarkets, and I use a trolley to push on and put all my stuff in there. Right? So at the end of that, I have all my stuff piled up, and then I was amazed one day to see that every single thing that I had on that trolley had a bag in it. All right? So everything is packed in plastic bags now. And Malaysia are very good at it. You go for, especially during the pandemic when you had a lot of delivery, right? Every time you order from Grab, just count the number of plastics that has been used. All right? So that's all been, in every business now, the packaging is in plastics. Okay, and the question is why? Because it's durable, okay, and it's it's safe, it's durable, it's cheap, and all that stuff. It's convenient, so we use it. Yeah, and customer demands it, so we know we use it. But you realize, of course, that there are negative impacts on the world through the use of these plastics. All right. Now, unfortunately, due to technical issue, I really can't play the video. I have a short video, and if you want, you can actually download that video from YouTube. But essentially, if you watch this video, it talks about the fact that the plastics we are throwing the plastics away. It can't be recycled, or we are not recycling it, and ends up in oceans, and then it will drift back to countries and villages across the world. Right, and it's impacting countries like India. This video shows a scene where plastics are being washed ashore in the coastlines of India, right? And people have had to pick it up. Okay, now that's just an inconvenience. What's even worse is that these plastics are being eaten by fish, sea creatures, the turtles and everything, and these animals are dying because of that. All right, and if they are dying, then it affects our food chain, it affects our ecosystem as well. So there are negative effects of business, and these are all because of business. Business are using it. All right, so let me now finally just arrive at the conclusion that I was trying to argue. All right, what is business at the end of the day? Is it all about making money? And this is my own perspective of it. You don't have to agree, but my perspective is that business has a great potential, right? We can and we should use it to improve our lives. And there are many people who are doing that. Okay, and if you go into business, if you use business knowledge and skills and all that to positive ways, you will be able to change by improving people's lives. How will you go about doing that, right? You can't do it alone. So people who go into business are business leaders normally, right? Each one of them, whether they are at the level of Tony Fernandez or Anthony Tan or whoever, right, men or women, yeah, or they are at a lower level, business people are leaders, okay, because they are changing the world, yeah. Yes, it has to make money, not because it's the end, right, but it's because to sustain that business, right. So Grab has to make money to sustain the services that it's providing. AirAsia had to make money from its low-cost model because it has to sustain it. Right now, they can't make money because it can't travel. So he is finding ways to actually sustain it. Yeah, so making money is important, not because it's an end that you will search for, but it's a means to an end, right? So that's not my message to you. Now, taking into account this message, I want to now talk a little bit about business education, all right? And how I think you should pursue business education with taking into account that it is to improve lives, right? So, so business education, right? So you guys, so you are thinking of doing a pre-university course of some kind because you want to go into a university program. You are at a crossroads because you've done your pre-university and you want now to select an appropriate university education. So you will spend a few years in the university life. Normally, it will take about 3 years. Pre-university will take you normally about a year. For business, you don't need to do anything more than a year. Okay, and then after that, you come out, and depending on what area of business that you do, whether it's an accounting, which is a profession, then you need to do some professional qualification. But if you don't want to do a professional qualification, you can then go out and join companies. There are also young people today that come out and start up their own business. All right, so that's your progression normally. This is a traditional progression. Don't talk about people like Steve Jobs who quit university and come out and start a business and everything, which is all fantastic and very romantic and everything. But there are only so many Steve Jobs around, right? So most of us will be, following this traditional pathway. Now, you all should know this already, but what I wanted to share with you is what do you need to search for in your business education, right? I'll give you 3 things that you should look for. Okay, one is this thing about knowing, the other one is doing, the other one is being. All right, so let me quickly go into it. Knowing means that acquiring business knowledge, how to do accounting, how to do marketing, how to do managing, how to do computing, all that stuff, right? So it's about acquiring knowledge. Now, acquiring knowledge, you can now read from the book. Better still, you can Google everything on earth. All right, you can go to YouTube and watch a YouTube video on anything from fixing an egg, frying an egg, to making a bomb. Right, so you can actually do that, acquiring knowledge, right? That's not difficult to do, okay? But acquiring knowledge is not enough. You have to know how to apply that knowledge, yeah? So how do you learn that in university education is that we give you case studies, we give you projects to do, assignments to do, so you learn how to apply them, all right? So those are normally you'll find in universities, and that's no big deal. But the third one, which is the thing that I really want to talk a little bit more about, is the being part. Okay? Why is that? So what is being? Being means knowing who you are, right? What's your purpose in life? Knowing to be how to interact with people, be empathetic to people, having emotional intelligence, being grateful for everything that happens to you, being resilient. Those are being. Those are character. Okay? Attitude. Right? And that's very, very important. Okay? Do not be susceptible to pressures from peers and all that, right? Because you need to knowing what is right and what is wrong, right? That's being. Okay, and being is very important. Why? Because as I told you just now, business can have a positive or a negative impact on our lives. So if you know how, please come in, yeah. Hi. Please have a seat. So if you just know the knowledge, if you acquire the knowledge and the skills, but don't know how to apply the knowledge and skills, that's where the danger comes in business. All right? So being to me is one of the most important elements of university education, but the most challenging to acquire. And before I end later on afterwards, I'll tell you how Heriot-Watt is dealing with it, and is purposefully dealing with it. Okay? So that's the three things that you should search for. Let me quickly just touch on the knowing and doing part, and just explain to you a little bit if you're not quite sure what area of business can I venture into. Okay? Let me just give you a few simple examples. Right. The thing that most people will tell you is that when you want to go into business or start up your own company, they always say, I need money. All right? I need capital. Okay? So where can you get the money from? Legally. Right? So there are normally two sources of where you get the money from. Either you borrow it from the bank or from other people, yeah, or you get it from your own savings. Don't borrow it from your parents, because this should be the last thing you do. You know, you should always go and get it from either your own savings or you get partners in. Right? Now, these two groups are called either debt or equity. Right? So equity is from your own funds or people you know or your shareholders or whatever, and debt is to borrow money. So the big question is that how much do you borrow and how much do you use in savings? Right? The intuitive thing for you, most of you will say that don't borrow. Yeah? But the beauty of borrowing is that if you have very little money, you can gear up yourself to do a bigger thing if you can borrow. Right? So borrowing allows you to scale up, as it were. But of course, borrowing comes with risk. Yeah? So these are the things that will be on your mind. Right? So all these things you will learn in a course called finance. Right? So in finance, you talk about different types of capital, the sources of capital, the intermediaries, the institutions that provide these capitals, what are the risks of all these capitals, and how do you manage those risks. Hi, come in. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. Please, I'll stay a bit away from you because I don't have a mask on. Okay, thank you. Yes, anywhere. Cameraman, okay, So I'm mindful, sorry, because they are actually broadcasting this on social media, right? So, but don't worry, they won't show your face, they only show mine. And what was I talking about? So I'm talking about finance, right? So finance is really about money and where do you source money, and then especially now during the COVID-19 pandemic, you realize one of the greatest challenges of businesses is how to manage money. Right? Businesses fail because they don't have enough money. There's no cash inflow coming in, right? So how are they going to pay salaries and all? Yeah? So cash flow management is another thing that you study in finance as well. Okay? So that's one area of business that you can go into. The other area of business is now you've got a capital, you know what products and services to sell, right? How do you sell it? Okay? And how do you know what products and services to provide? Okay, it shouldn't be from your own dreams. I dreamt up of a product one day and I think everybody would love it, and you set up a business and sell it, but nobody buys it. All right, so you got to understand the consumer as well. Understand what they need, where they need it, when they need it, right, and how they need it as well. So those are come under marketing. Okay, so you can study business by focusing on marketing, right? How do you so marketing is not about selling. Marketing is not just about selling. Marketing is also understanding the consumer, how to brand yourself, how to convey the message of your brand to others as well. So that's marketing. And the other area, which is my own area, which is accounting. What is accounting? Right? Accounting is really about providing a report card, literally a report card every month, every year, to people who are interested in how you are doing. Right? So the report card will show, you are scoring in different areas, but certain areas you are failing it. Right? So what do you do if you have a certain area that you are failing? How do you improve an F to a B or to a A? So that's what an accountant does. right? So accountant provides that report card and to let you, discuss with you and work with the leaders, business leaders, to see how you can improve your report card. All right? And traditionally, that report card is all in numbers. But let me tell you, if you are interested to become an accountant today, it's not that easy anymore. Accountants are not just numbers people, they need to provide non-financial information as well. Things like, for example, customer satisfaction, the environment, culture of the company and all that, right? Because the responsibility of an accountant is now greater, right? Because there's issue of sustainability as well, okay? So that's accounting. And a last example that I want to provide, and perhaps the most challenging and the most difficult, is that you can't run a business on your own, right? I challenge you, if you can find a business that people just sit and run on their own, you come in me and I'll do whatever you want, yeah? No successful business can run on its own, okay? You need to have a team. And when you have a team, the challenge is that so if there are a team of 4 people, right? Each one of them, even in a family, I think, they think differently, right? And they have different goals, they have different needs, different motivation, right? But you now are in the same company, same business with one goal, which is to improve lives through selling a product. Now, how are you getting all these people to work together, right? And how are you going to recruit more people in? And how are you going to organize the way they are working? So all these come under human resource management. Right? So you how to deal with motivating people. So it's really about people. Okay, and you study that in business as well. We call it human resource management. Yeah. So that's another big area. Okay. So let me finish and then we'll have some Q&A. Right. So now let me tell you a little bit about the programs that we offer. Right. Just a quick one is that we do have a suite of accounting and finance programs. Right? We deals with accounting and finance, as I mentioned just now. Okay. Now, interestingly, if you look at it, some of you are thinking now, this is called an MA. It's a Master's of Arts, right? But let me assure you, don't worry, some of you will be from foundation and you say, I just got out of foundation and you want me to do a Master's, right? But let me just qualify that by saying that this Master's of Arts is an undergraduate program. All right? It's just that in Heriot-Watt, because Heriot-Watt is actually an ancient university, 200 years old, right? And during that time, we were given the permission to actually grant undergraduate degrees called Masters of Arts. All right? This is a recognition of the prestige and the quality of our undergraduate degrees, but they are not a master's level. We do have master's level degrees called Masters of Science, which you need an MA or a bachelor's to actually do. All right, so don't panic first, huh? So we have accounting. We also have business-focused degrees, right? So our flagship business degrees is our international business management degrees. All right, and in that we cover things like human resource management. Enterprise is about starting up a business. Marketing, as I said just now, is understanding consumer behaviors and how to brand your products. All right. We also have a more flexible program called business administration as well. And maybe just add on one more, we actually have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology with Management. Now, why I mention this for a business program is because I feel that if you want to go into business today, having a psychology degree actually is quite helpful. Why? Because business is about dealing with people. And if you are an expert in how people behave, it's easier for you to deal with people, right? So we do have an undergraduate BSc Honours in Psychology with a focus on management that you can actually do. And many of our graduates come out, become business professionals, become business leaders, become human resource professionals as well. All right? So one more thing, I'm almost at the end here. All these things that I was mentioning to you focuses on knowledge and the knowledge, the knowing and the doing, the skills, right? So remember I told you just now, the most important thing is being. How to behave, knowing what's right or wrong, being resilient, being grateful, empathetic and all that, emotional intelligence. So how do we ensure that you acquire that? Well, we have this program called Empower. All right? Empower is a compulsory program that all our undergraduate university students go through. All right? And the flagship of that Empower program is this idea of building resilience, building people who are resilient, who are happy. Happy doesn't mean you're always smiling, right? Happy means that you go through the challenge of life, of the struggles of daily life, which every one of us go through with strength, all right? And you're able to go through it, all right? And be resilient, be grateful, emotionally strong. All right? And how we do it is that each one of our students, we ask them to try and find their purpose. Right? So purpose is very important and central to our way of teaching in Heriot-Watt. Every one of us, including the staff, are asked to actually discover their purpose in life. Once you have a purpose, once you find meaning in your life, then everything else becomes quite easy. Right? I'm not saying that it's not going to be a struggle, but it will be easier to overcome the struggle. So that's part of what we do at Heriot-Watt, which is quite unique. And to support that, we have things like teaching you how to become a leader, asking you to participate in projects, competition, and stuff like that. Teaching you business skills. We try and help you to start up your own business, right? Wherever for those who are interested in, critical thinking, and also working with a lot of corporates in terms of employability skills. So that's all part of the Empower program. And when you graduate, you are potentially able to graduate with 2 certificates. One, the academic certificate. The other one is a transcript which tells you what have you done, right? Your purpose, your impact, right, that you want to do. Trying to end now is that one other thing which is quite unique for Heriot-Watt, which I think most universities have a challenge in doing because we are global. So those who came in, we have campuses in Dubai, in Putrajaya here, and in Edinburgh. And the way we teach our program is we are synced as one global university. All right? Everything that we teach on a week-to-week basis is identical. Okay? And our lecturing team work as a global team. So when I teach a subject in audit, I'm working with colleagues in Dubai and colleagues in Edinburgh, and we are working on the slides, we're working on the exercises together. Right? So everything is matched on a week-by-week basis. So as a result of that, if you graduate or you finish a semester in Malaysia, in Putrajaya, right, you can very, very easily go and transfer to any other campuses that you like. All right? So we call this the Grow Global, and you are free to go around, okay, in other campuses. Right. So so that was my message, right? So my little talk here. Let me summarize, and then we'll open up for some discussions, questions. So I start out by saying that I think business is more than making money. So if you want to come into and study business, all I'm trying to tell you is that don't just have a perception that, it's about making money, right? Why are you making money? And I think business has the potential to improve lives, right? So if you want to improve life, you want to make an impact in the world, doing a business degree could be a good option for you. Of course, you can do it with others as well, but I think business, because of the pervasiveness of business, you will find that it's good. It's good to study business as well. So I've talked about how you can do it, right? In terms of the programs, and remember the 3 things. If you don't remember anything, just knowing the 3 things is very important. Business education, get the knowing part, the doing part, but most importantly, how to become a good person, right? That's also the most important part. Okay, and the third thing that I said just now was that Heriot-Watt is a unique place by which the focus is not just on the knowing and doing, which we are strong in that as well, but we give you that additional being, finding the purpose, who you are, and all that. So that was the thing that I wanted to just share with you, right? So, any questions from the floor? Maybe I'll go to the floor first, because these are brave people that come to the campus. So any questions from you? If not, and then I'll go to the online ones. Yes, sir.
What's the advantage of taking this international business weekend? How does it benefit? Because normally I see in other universities, they do it separately, business separately, then human resource separately.
Right.
Yes,
because we embed everything. Actually, by the time, okay, so I suppose, let me just do a wild guess, right? So both of you want to study lah, right? So this 2% here, they already studied enough already. So what level are you in? So you just done your SPM and very excited lah. You're just counting the A's that you're going to get, right? Yeah. So you got SPM now, and so you're going to venture, and you probably need to do a foundation first, and then only do the degree, right? So you probably join the degree sometime in 2022, next year or something. So during that time, so we have one degree, international business management. Right, and in there you will be able to do all these things like human resource, marketing, enterprise, starting up a business. So we put it all into one. I think your question is that some people do separately, right? Okay, so it's no right or wrong. So they can do it separately if they want to, yeah. But I find that to me is that at this level, at the undergraduate level, there's not really a need to specialize so much, right? I think being a generalist is not a bad thing. Yeah, knowing a little bit, because you're also at this age, you're also not very clear on what you want to do. I'll give you another example, right? Some of us think that doing accounting is good as well, right? And doing a specialist, just now I showed you, we have an accounting and finance. But some of my students is that they want to do accounting, but they may not want to become an accountant. All right? So is it wrong for them to do accounting and not become an accountant later? And I tell them there's nothing wrong with that. And is it useful? Yes, it's useful, right? Knowing an accounting degree is very important to running a business. By the way, people like Tony Fernandez, he's a trained accountant, right? So being a trained accountant doesn't mean you are not going to be good in business, okay? Not the accountants today anyway. So this is my perception, and you may disagree with me, but I think that at this level, there's no really necessity to specialize so much, right? As long as because most generic business degrees will cover things like human resource, marketing, and entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship now is, because the assumption is, because of the nature of business today, many startups, many SMEs are growing. So most business degree programs would have components of entrepreneurship in there as well. So that's my thought. That's what we are doing at Heriot-Watt. But it's no right or wrong, right? And if you feel that you want to specialize, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I guess I'm just saying that at this level, it would be great if you know exactly what you want to do, right? So some people wake up every day and say, I want to become an accountant, right? Since I was 2 years old, I want to become an accountant already, Oh, those fantastic lah. So you study accounting lah, right? But those of you who don't know, I'm not quite sure what I want to do, then to me any business will be fine. Why I would ask people, if you are numeric, okay, so this is just an expansion of your question. So just in case you are asking, is that who would want to take an accounting degree and who want to take a business generic degree? So those who take accounting degree should be very much more comfortable with numbers, right? So if any of you, let's say you're strong in your maths and everything, strong in your maths now, doesn't have to be advanced maths, right? Then if you say you want to become accounting, you want to study accounting, I say, yeah, go for it. All right? Because accounting requires you to be numeric. Okay? Not those people who see numbers, they get rashes now. Then don't go to accounting. Yeah? Then I would say that maybe you try generic business degree. Yeah? There's nothing wrong with that. Do you mean that you won't become as successful? No. Right? Because I always believe that programs that you take is like two doors here, right? Right? You might say that it's different door lah. This one is the right hand side, this one is the left hand door. Yeah? But you go out, it's the same place, ma. You just go out to the same corridor. And what happens in that corridor depends on you, not which door you come out with, right? Okay, so that's my thoughts on this. But thanks for the question. Right, so maybe, okay. This one? Why is the bachelor's degree awarded MA? Is it a higher? Okay, so I think I've answered the question just now, but just to repeat the answer to that is that it is not a higher bachelor, right? So our degrees are called MA because of the history, because of the fact that we are from United Kingdom, and certain universities in the United Kingdom who are what we call ancient in a good way, like ancient universities, right? Like the Cambridges, the Oxford of the world. The universities were given the privilege to actually call their undergraduate degrees Masters of Arts. Is it higher? No. Is it, is a bachelor lower? No. All right, it's the same. Okay, the thing that you go through, the learning is the same, except the naming. It's a naming tradition, right? So I hope that answers the question. Can I do a business degree if I study foundation in science? You can do any foundation you want, and we will still take you in business degree most of the time, unless you do those vocational one, arts, for example, painting foundation, then it's difficult. So if you do a science foundation, you can come to business as well, right? The only thing just want to qualify is that if you want to do an accounting, if you want to do accounting and finance at Heriot-Watt, you need to actually do well in your SPM maths, right? So we need a minimum of B in your SPM maths, okay? But otherwise, you can do science and come to business. I especially like science student who wants to do accounting. You know why? Because science students, you have and the discipline of being analytical. That's what I hope. So in your SPM, you can know how to come up with hypotheses and do more research and all that, right? So all these skills are important in doing accounting, because accounting is also about analyzing data. All right. So to answer the question, you can come from anywhere. What's the difference between accounting and finance? Okay, I've tried to explain that, but let me give you another example of the difference between finance and accounting that I always tell students, but this may change already. So how many of you have gone to concerts before? Right? So you've gone to concerts, right? You go to concerts, you're an audience there, and you see the stage, right? And you see all the performers on stage, right? Concert or a show, right? So these performers, and they're always jumping around, the singers, whoever, the band, whatever, they're all very prominent. Yeah? But behind the scenes, there are also a lot of people working to make your concert experience a good one, right? The lighting, the raising of the curtain, the backdrop, if you've gone through those musical, right? So there's a lot of people at the back end doing a lot of hard work, whereas the front end is the people who are, very high profile and glamorous, right? So finance used to be the run in front, yeah? Because you see, normally you want money, you go to the banker, and then you meet the finance people, okay? So finance is more about money and financing and capital and sources of money. Whereas accountants used to be at the back room. You don't see accountants traditionally very much at the back room. Why? Because they are processing the numbers, coming out reports for you, so showing you the report card and see how you're doing, They work mainly at the back end. Yeah? So that's another difference between finance and accounting. But again, accounting has changed. All right? Accountants today are not so much backroom people. You see them more now, right? Because accountants, because the traditional role of an accountant, preparing reports and everything, can now be done through this device. Literally, there's now an app that you can upload, do all your bookkeeping for you. Okay? You can Google it. It's called Xero with an X. Xero. Yeah? So you can actually do it. It can generate report for you. So what the accountants do now is they actually analyze the report and give you advice on what you should do, how to improve your performance. Yeah? So they are more strategic in nature now. So I hope that explains it in terms of the difference between finance. So let me just summarize. Finance is more about funding, right? And knowing where to get funds with the appropriate funding, whereas accounting is more about providing information for decision making. Okay? Which professional paper is better? This is a very politically, very political question. Yeah. The quick answer to that is that there's no one better, no one worse. Yeah. If you are in accounting, if you want to do ACCA, ICAW, CPA, CIMA, I said go for it. If you are good enough, do all of them. Yeah. But I would say just don't waste your time, because every one of them that you join, they are professional bodies. You have to pay annual subscription. right? So unless you want to, you have so much money to pay subscription, then you can join any of them. So to me is that they are no better, no worse, all right? But they are perceptions, all right? Some people perceive one of them to be more prestigious. Some people perceive, they are more, they are more exclusive. That's because they have different entry requirements. Yeah. So, for example, ICAW may have a stricter entry requirement, but ICAW have very small number of members in Malaysia. Right? They are the smallest, one of the smallest, and then ACCA and CPA Australia is quite large in terms of numbers. So it's up to you. Maybe some of you want to join a smaller professional body, right? Or some of you would like to join a bigger professional body. There are pros and cons. Yeah? But in terms of quality, they are all the same. In terms of recognition, they are all the same. Okay? So let me assure you that. I'm a CPA Australia member. Okay? And CPA is CPA Australia, from Australia. So just pick one. So my advice, if you're doing accounting, just pick one professional body and just go for it. There's no right or wrong. Yeah? How does business impact one being found on website Positive Education? Can you elaborate on what is that? Okay, so positive education. Some people will say, there's such a thing maybe, or negative education, is it? Yeah. So positive education is not to say that the other education are negative, right? Positive education means that we want to accentuate and focus on all the positive attributes that you should develop in your life. All right. What are the positive attributes? Positive attributes means that, things, for example, resilient. One of the things that I always talk about, and the most challenging, is resilience. Resilience is about, your life that you go through. There's no person's life, whether you are, I can tell you what, whether you are a road sweeper, sweeping roads, to a royalty, right? So you heard Meghan Markle. So gone on TV to say how horrible her life is, right? If you go to a street sweeper, compare your horribleness with their horribleness, which is more horrible, right? But the thing that I'm looking at is that at every level of everyone's life, you will face struggles, and all your struggles are valid. Yeah, but the question is how to overcome struggle. So there's no life that you go through. Some people say, I earn as much money as I can, and I'm going to be happy forever, happy ever after, and I don't have to suffer. Every one of us suffer, right? So it's only different degrees of suffering. But how do you overcome that? How do you go on your daily struggles, right? And that's called resilience, and that's part of the component of positive education, and that's part of the component of knowing the being part, right? And we try to help our students to discover that. That's what positive education is. And I'll give you one example. So how to become more resilient? The research has shown that one of the things that you must have is that you must have meaning in life, right? And if you have found your meaning in life, you will overcome these struggles. And I'll give you one story that has affected me. It's my personal story, and I'll share this personal story with you, right? So I come from a small family of two, okay? And my parents, my dad passed away when I was 7 years old. Yeah? So my dad is a businessman, and my mom is educated, not educated, basically she's uneducated. So she has no knowledge, no skills, right? But at 7 years old, I think at that time she was maybe 30s, she lost her husband, and she had 2 children to take care of, right? She's 30-something, okay, and alone in Ipoh at that time, right? And she came down to KL with her brothers and sisters here, right? But she has no skill, right? 2 kids, just about going to school. Okay, is that a struggle? I'll tell you that you cannot face any more challenging struggle than that, right? Now, what will you do? Some people will give up, right? I just lost my husband, and I don't know what to do. I can't do anything. I don't have any skill. I can't, find a job. Who want to hire me? I don't have a qualification, right? But and I have 2 kids to fend for, right? If I'm my mother, I would have given up. right? But she continued. I'm here, right? Okay, and I got a PhD. Okay, how did she do that? She went on, it struggled every day, she struggled, right? She went and washed clothes, she went to iron clothes, sew clothes. That's about only jobs she could get. And it's tough, it's 12 hours a day. And now her hands are a bit, because of arthritis and everything, right? She's crooked hands because of the amount of washing that she did. She looked after babies, right? And let me tell you, looking after babies is the most challenging thing to do. Yeah? It was a struggle. If I were her, I would hate waking up in the morning. But let me just tell you, for 20, 30 years of my life as a young person, she never complained. Why? So why? I never knew why until I came to Heriot-Watt University and learned about purpose, right? Because I realized that she had one purpose. And that one purpose is 2%. To bring up the 2%, make sure that they are educated and fend for themselves. And after that, she's happy now, right? Of course, she doesn't have to work now. So that's that. I tell this story to my students when we talk about purpose and the importance of purpose. And that's what we do here as positive education. We don't day in, day out talk about accounting, right? So there are a lot of time when we talk about sitting down and asking you, what's your purpose? Who are you? So someone says, what? So deep one. You come to Heriot-Watt, ask me who I am, right? Yes. To find your purpose, you start with who you are. Yeah? Some people will say, I want to find my purpose, so I travel the world. Yeah? If you ask those people who do that, they all come back to the same place. All they did was they found themselves. All right? And then they found their purpose. So we always start by asking you who you are. Okay? What are your values? What is important to you? And from there, we try to help you discover your purpose. I found my purpose when I was 40 plus years. But in Heriot-Watt, you have a chance to find your purpose when you are in your late teens or early 20s, right? So that's what positive education is about. For those who are still deciding to start own business or work in corporate world, is there any difference in selecting which business major? Thanks. Like I said, whoever that question, I said, to me, there's no difference in, right? The business major you should select should be based on your strengths, right? And at this point in your life, what's your strength? So you go and choose that based on your strength. Okay? And please remember that will change. Yeah? And I was telling people today, because you are at a crossroads, and maybe it's peer pressure, maybe it is the society that we are in, right? It seems like we are putting a lot of pressure on you all to decide on the right degree to do. If you pick a wrong degree, you die. Okay? Your future is gone. Okay? Let me tell you, I went to accounting by accident. Let me just tell you this. I went to accounting by accident. Why did I choose accounting? I followed my friend. Literally. Let me just tell you that. Right? I don't know. I just buta. I just walk into this office, and they were hiring audit clerks. So I went up there and applied for a job. I just want a job. What is an audit clerk? I don't know. Right? So, but then I ended up doing my professional exams and passing in, and now I did my accounting stint, okay? But I enjoy teaching accounting. So what I want to tell you is it doesn't really matter. Just at this point in your life, what is it that you are interested in? If you're not quite sure, do a generic thing, and you will be sure when you find your purpose. And hopefully you will do that when you come first year in Heriot-Watt. All right? And then you finish your degree and you may change. Yeah, you may want to start your business. You may want to join corporate first. That's life. Life is just, sometimes it is about going with the flow, yes, but prepare yourself to the flow. Yeah? Don't just walk aimlessly around. But at each point in your life, you make a decision to how to move with the flow. But sometimes you just have to go with the flow. So to me, I don't know, it's really about your interests. So if you are more numbers focused, I would say do an accounting degree. If you are not so numbers focused, I would ask you to do a generic business degree. Yeah? If you're more interested in dealing with people, I would say do a psychology management. Yeah? And for that matter, right, so I'm talking about business because I'm from business. For that matter, you could be very interested in science and you want to do engineering. Then go for it. Are you stuck to become an engineer once you study engineering? No. Right? And I know a lot of business people who are engineers before that. Okay? That to me, right? So at this point in your life, you just make a decision based on what you think is okay. Maybe your parents will whisper. Some whispers are louder than, but you just listen, but you always try and look for what's in you. Yeah? So that's what I would say. Oh, okay. So, all right. So it's 1 minute or 2 minutes past 1. Any last questions from the floor here? Yep.
I mean, given the current situation,
Yeah.
I think campus education is very important.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'll just do that, and then we'll end. And then if there are any other questions, I'll be outside, and because I think we may need the space. Do we? Oh, okay. So we can. All right. So you're right? So you come to university because of campus life. All right. I get that. Okay, and we get that. And we understand that. But we are not in a situation of our own doing, right? It is largely beyond our control. So let me just tell you right now, there's no classes on campus for us. Why? Because the ministry has not allowed classes on campus in general. They are allowed for certain groups of students, just who are doing experiments and stuff like that, where it's absolutely essential to come on campus. Then we are fine. But those who can do online, we are still doing online. The moment the ministry say giving us a green light, right? We will make a decision, all right? And our priority is absolutely right. We want students on campus. I want to come on campus because I hate looking at a monitor. So let me just tell you the experience we go through as teachers, lecturers. So all we see is this laptop, right? So I'm teaching there. Just imagine teaching accounting in this little 13-inch laptop. And the awesome thing is that I don't see anybody because everyone switch off the camera, okay? Because you are shy, because you just woke up from your room and you're all, disheveled and you don't want people to see you. So that's all. Now, I've got mental health issues, yeah? So that, again, the point I'm trying to make is that we all want to come back on campus. We understand the campus thing. But we are not allowed to do that. Okay, so how do we overcome this? Is that we have a technique or a model called responsive blended learning. And essentially what that is that we try our best to adapt as much as it. Whenever you can come on campus, we will have a hybrid. We will have big classrooms like this online, but small classes on campus, right? Whenever we can. Whenever we are doing online, now let me just also clarify, there are various versions of online. Now, online does not mean that you just watch a video. Yeah? So I'm sure you've heard of things like Coursera, the MOOCs, right? Massive open online courses and all that, where you just sit there and you watch a video, and then you read the text from the online. There's no interaction. Yeah? But ours is not no interaction. We do have live classes online. We try as much to interact as much as we can. So we always ask the students to switch on the camera but we can't force them. So we encourage them because we want to see your eyeball. We want to see you sleeping, and things like that. So, but we've also learned a lot of new skills. So our lecturers are learning and trying to adapt because we are also learning a lot of different technologies to engage. So there is a lot of software that we are trying to use to engage, asking you to do quizzes, online quizzes and all that. So day in, day out, we are quite stressed, actually, the teaching team, because we are working extra hard to engage, right? So please, we are not doing, things like, WhatsApp your homework to us and stuff like that, right? So a lot of things we are trying to replace the campus experience through online. Another example of this is that we are also now encouraging our students to join competitions. But corporates are still organizing business competitions, but they are all online. But we are trying to support them. I just had yesterday, day before, we had one group of students. We have 2 teams now going into the semifinals of the HSBC business competition. So we're trying to support them as well. So we're trying as best as we can to give the students a campus experience that is grounded on technology and an online environment. But we're not doing an online course. So let me assure you, we don't do online courses. You just go and watch a video, we will all be, there's no lecturer there. Okay? The timetable still goes on. So we still have timetable. Your accounting class is from this time to this time, is fixed. And your tutorial class is on this day at this time. Yeah? So those are all still there. The only thing is you don't come to campus. And we're doing that because of your own safety. Right? And the last thing we want is to have an outbreak here. So we're very concerned. But students are allowed to come on campus if they can't access their computer. So we do allow them. So there are some students in the library. Right? So if let's say internet connection is not so good in your house, you can apply and say, I want to come to campus on these days to study or use the internet or whatever. There are SOPs to follow, right? So they are detailed. You can't be too close together. So all these things are still there, and we have meeting rooms, but the SOPs are, right? So we still don't encourage them to mask all the time. Okay? So we have strict SOPs. Like I said, right? The last thing we want is to have an outbreak here. That's the last thing we want. Yeah. So our decision has always been to ensure. Yeah. So you have a question? Yeah. Okay. Right. So I think that's all then. Thank you all so much for coming, and I wish you well. You're waiting for a result, is it? Okay, waiting for a result? Right, good. Right, I'm sure it'll be fantastic, right? But whatever that result is good result. Whatever your result is, it will be a good result. And just make a decision based on what that result is. And whatever that result is, there's always a decision. Yeah, so that's my advice to both of you. And foundation, hopefully to see you here. Right? Yeah. But all the best to you. Okay? And those at home as well. All the best. Take care. Thanks a lot. Yeah.